All right, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about Uber stock. This is a stock that I made a video on, I think, a little while back. We were probably around $75. Kind of just pitching it and explaining reasons why to buy. If you want a uh, very in-depth pitch of why to buy Uber stock, I would definitely look back at my video on the past in it. But I wanted to talk a little bit about it just because you know. Um, it's been in the news lately a lot, and has dropped as a result. And I kind of just wanted to share my thoughts on what's going on with Uber stock. So, since looking back in the last 6 months, it was kind of, just sitting at this big jump after their earnings. They reported strong earnings in, early February, and then they were kind of just sitting at around 75, which is when I pitched it. They had, the drop because of the Liberation Day tariffs, and since then, since that drop, Uber stock has been doing very well, which is exactly what I was hoping would happen. Because I was looking at just their earnings and how undervalued they are really. Only a 14 right now, a 14.7 price to earnings ratio is very, very undervalued in my opinion for a company that is not just going to, sit there and continue to do what they do. They're going to grow and they're going to, expand Uber Eats and they're going to expand their ride sharing and they're going to do the autonomous vehicles and all this stuff. So to have a 14 price to earnings ratio for that level of growth, in my opinion, is very low. And so they went up a lot to around 92, and I was thinking that maybe they would break 100. I see it at 115, hopefully by the end of the year, as they continue to grow and as they continue to expand their business. But there was a little bit of a bump in the road, you could say, recently, and it has to do with Tesla. And Tesla is really what held Uber stock back. Ever since they got on the market in around 2019. Obviously there were other factors that were struggling a little bit with making money, profitability, but they were growing. So it was kind of a shock that they hadn't moved. You look, since they went on the market in 2019, they hadn't really moved till 2023. So that's just crazy because Uber has been a growing business since 2019, but to not really grow until 2023 is mostly just because of Tesla. And the one thing with Tesla is that the threat that Tesla put out about autonomous vehicles, and how Tesla would be utilizing their, obviously their Teslas that they put out can drive themselves. And Tesla was saying how they would use these self-driving Teslas to basically act as an Uber. And that was scary for Uber investors, and that's kind of why didn't see really any growth for 4 years. That's just that threat that Tesla could take over a part of Uber's business, which was the autonomous vehicles, and this was something that Uber has been talking about probably since 2019. Is how that's the next growing part of their company. Obviously, they're still growing very strong in Uber Eats and their ride sharing too, but the autonomous vehicles was kind of the cherry on top that would rise investor confidence. But Tesla held that back because they were threatening to compete with Uber and maybe even take them over. So that kind of went away. Tesla wasn't really, again, they made promises that they didn't keep. They promised to start their ride sharing company in 2020, or their autonomous vehicle ride sharing competitor in around 2023. They didn't do that. 2024, they didn't do that. So investors kind of saw it as a hoax, and that's why you saw this jump from 40 to now where we were at with 92. But Tesla is back again, and they are now they are continuing to talk about the autonomous vehicle and ride sharing thing again. And that's lowering Uber's stock. And you look at the headlines, they're planning to just click on one of these articles here. So you can see, Tesla CEO Elon Musk said that there would be some unsupervised, so fully self-driving cars in Austin, Texas, starting in June. So it's very, very soon, very soon. And he also said, plans to expand to California and other U.S. markets. So again, that's scary for Uber investors. And if I'm being honest, I obviously don't know if he's telling the truth. I can't see into the future, but in my opinion, I don't think this is, a really big threat to Uber stock. I think it's a little bit over exaggerated how much it's dropped. I think we belong right now around the 95 level, but right now we're around the 85 level. And that's just because of Tesla's threats. In my opinion, I think Tesla can definitely roll out some autonomous vehicles that could, ride share, but I don't think they're going to get a lot of traction. I don't think they're going to really impact Uber's business and autonomous vehicle sector solely because, Uber is a very neutral company. Tesla has gotten a little political over the last couple months. A lot of people don't like that. Also, a lot of people just don't like Tesla in general. They wouldn't feel comfortable riding in, the Tesla self-driving cars. There's a lot of complications with that. And also, the last time Elon said something, it was probably last year, that they would be rolling out 100,000 autonomous vehicles by a certain date. It just never happened. So that could easily happen again, or they could, be kind of fabricating the level to which this is happening. So I'm not worried at all. I personally think that this is a great time to get into Uber when we kind of saw this pullback, 10% pullback from 95 to 85. That's, again, a great time to get in. Just revisit the revenues and the numbers. Again, very steady growing revenues. That's what you love to see. Not really a bump in the road here. You're seeing these consistent around 20% growth. And you look at net income, this is what's really stands out to me. I don't think is really accounted for in the stock price, is that they're very profitable now. They were largely unprofitable, which kind of adds to the Tesla hit of why their stock didn't go up for the 4 years, whatever, from 2019 to 2023. But you look at this trend, this is what you love to see here. A really, really big upward trend, almost exponential to a degree. You're seeing them starting to make significant amounts of money. And that's expected to continue to grow as they continue to grow their company. So again, the fundamentals for Uber are definitely there. That's why I pitched it in the first place. I really did love their company. I don't think this Tesla thing is really that big of a deal. You look at Lyft, one of its big competitors, 117 price earnings ratio is what they're currently at. Uber has 15. Now, I'm not saying that Uber should be at 115 or even close to that, but it just kind of puts in perspective how undervalued Uber is. So, if you're an Uber investor, if you invested last time, I definitely would not be worried. I'd be buying more. This is an amazing long-term pick, very stable long-term pick too. I have a lot of, less stable growth, like large growth companies on my channel, but this is a very, very stable company. Their financials are very sound. And I would definitely not think much of this Tesla thing other than just it being a discount, and you get a very, very good high quality company at a lower price than what you were expecting. So let me know what you think. Hopefully Uber continues to do well, and yeah, see you next time.